We're going to talk some sports photography today. Yep, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start. I don't know what. I don't know what I'm saying. Just, it's all right. We're still going to talk sports today. Looking forward to the next few minutes that we're going to spend together. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk some sports, all about sports and a little bit about camera, but a lot about sports. Did you see the game this weekend? No, let's get into the meat and the potatoes. I think there's a misconception on sports photography, on being a pro at it. And what I mean by pro is that's just getting paid for it. Just getting paid for your services, getting paid for your pictures, getting paid for whatever you're doing in the field of photography. Pro is, to me, that's all it means. They can put you gotta have a certain equipment to be pro. No, that's just really not right. That's really just wrong. I believe that to be a pro, that you're selling your services, and people is paying for your services. That means you have made it to a point where people want your work. What do you need to do that? Do you have to have that 400 millimeter 2.8, that $10,000 lens? $10,000 for that lens. You could probably find it a little cheaper than that used, but new, you're talking 10 grand for a lens. And do you have to have that to be a sports photographer, especially football? No, that's just not true. Do you have to have a 1DX? No. Do you have to have these lenses? No, you don't have to have these lenses to be considered to sell your work. You don't have to have that. But I tell you what, you do have to have. You have to have a passion to want to do it. I believe that that this right here. This right here. That's a Jared Poland thing. He's what he does. I don't know why he does that. I believe you can do more with less. If you want to get into sports photography, especially high school, shooting your local high school team, or football, basketball, baseball, you don't have to go out and have a 1DX. You don't have to go out and buy a $10,000 lens. You don't even have to go out and buy a $2,500 lens. I believe you can spend about $1,500 on a camera and a lens. That's what I did, and I am right at I'm selling my images, and of course I do composites as well, or montages, or whatever you want to call it. This right here. So what do you need to get into sports photography? I believe that you need a decent camera. I believe that you need a decent lens, and I believe you need to have just a good concept of how to use both of those things. And you can do that, and I believe that you can make a supplemental income doing sports photography. If you just want to do it without getting paid, if you just want to go shoot your kids or shoot your grandkids or whatever, you can still do that with a decent camera and a decent lens. Let's look at this lens right here. This is a 70 to 300 lens, and I've got it on a crop body. I shoot with a Canon 80D, which is a really good camera. I haven't had a bit of problem out of it. Shoot video as well with it. Matter of fact, that's what we're shooting on right now is the Canon 80D. I believe this 70-300 is a really good lens. Another thing that this lens will do on an APC sensor camera is 70 is like equivalent to a 112 millimeter, and 300 is equivalent to 480. So when you're shooting with that big 400 millimeter 2.8, $10,000 lens, well, this actually gets you closer than that lens does. Now the sharpness definitely is not the same. The f-stop is not the same, so the speed of that lens is not the same. But this is a decent lens to get started. It's an older lens. They actually make a newer model than what I've got. This is a really good lens. Do I want a 70-200 2.8? Most definitely. Do I want a 400 2.8? Most definitely. But not everybody can afford those things right off the bat, and I know that you probably can't either. So what do? You just go buy what you can and you get started. And that's just how you do it. It's this 70-300, and it just produces some decent images that I can share and sell, and they're really good. Like I say, are they the 400 millimeter? Are they a L glass type pictures? No, not necessarily. But we can produce some good images with it. So let's talk a little bit about shooting football, for instance. Lighting at high school football fields is poor, but the worst that you'll ever find. It's not like shooting at college stadiums. It's not like shooting at pro stadiums. Their lighting is optimized for video, so it's going to be a night and day compared to high school stadium to a college stadium to a pro stadium, and that's where you're going to find that you're going to have a camera that shoots decent at high ISOs. I shoot a lot of my images on a Friday night. I shoot at 8,000 ISO, and that is really high. Some people will never go over 3,200 on their ISO. Some people will never go over 6,400. I shoot constantly at 8,000 ISO. Do I have to do some posts? Yeah, I have to do some post editing in Lightroom to kind of clean those up a little bit, but they still produce a good image, an image that I can still use. And man, I tell you, Lightroom is a powerful tool for a photographer. If you're not using Lightroom right now, then I don't know what you're using, but Lightroom is a powerful tool. Especially, of course, I use Lightroom and Photoshop together. Sometimes I shoot my files right straight from Lightroom over to Photoshop, depending on what I'm doing to them. And I tell you, I don't know what I would do as a photographer without those two programs. You're definitely going to be shooting low light, so you need a camera that is decent at high ISOs. I believe that the 80D it does a decent job at high ISOs. Now, if I had a full frame, yes, it would do a lot better. But the APC size sensor does this camera does a decent job at that. That's what I can tell you. I can't tell you what the Sony's does. I can't tell you what a 5D Mark IV does. I can't tell you what a 1DX does. I know that they produce a lot better images than mine does. I can't tell you what a T6i or 7i does. But I can tell you what my 80D does, and it does a wonderful job for me. And so if you want to get into sports photography, there's no better time than right now. All you got to do is get you a decent camera, a decent lens, and Friday night, head to the football game and start shooting. How about this? I show you my process on my editing in Lightroom to get good images from this 70-300. If you want to see that, leave a comment below and we will make that happen. We'll just do a whole video on my process in Lightroom to get an 8000 ISO image and get it to where it's a good image that you can sell. You can blow up to 10 by 8 by 10, 16 by 24. Yes, I have done it. I have sold pictures, prints. I've sold prints. I sold this right here, canvas, just a couple weeks ago. I'm telling you, you can get into sports photography if you want to. So I'm gonna leave you with that. So if you wanna see my editing style, if you wanna see my process, taking an image right straight from the camera, right into Lightroom, and editing it, start to finish, just leave me a comment below, and we'll get that done. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave you with that. Make sure you subscribe and you like, and I'll see you on the flip side.